there, my name is Mike Munzing. I'm with Munzing Mortgage Group. Each week I bring these videos to you to let you know what's going on in the local real estate market, the mortgage industry, both on a state level and a national level as well. This week we're going to cover a couple of different reports. We're going to cover that foreclosure report that comes out every month. We're also going to cover the latest housing report from Stephen Thomas. Over this past week, rates overall have remained mostly flat. We're doing pretty well. Go to my website, pull down that rate sheet and take a look. So now let's jump into that housing report from Stephen Thomas. I'll bring it up on the screen here. You can print that off my website as well. Let's see what Stephen says this week. He basically titles it, Welcome to Fantasyland. Stephen's been doing this a long time, but his input is that buyers' expectations are fairly unrealistic at this time. This week, he headed this thing up with the foreclosures and the short sales, basically the distressed properties. So he could break that down to let you know that 44% of the homes that sold in the month of March were distressed sales. And what's happened is that these buyers are the ones who are living in fantasy land. Even though there are a lot of distressed sales out there, these buyers all want to look for that deal. Well, it is still somewhat of a buyer's market with properties going off the market so quickly, but there's been no appreciation because there are so many distressed sales. It's a very strange market right now. So what's happened is, as offers are delivered, as buyers make one offer after another, and he says that it takes these buyers to be burned once or twice and lose properties before they understand what they have to do to actually get into escrow on a property. They have to make a fair offer because there are still quite a few buyers out there. So it's an interesting market where you're not seeing an appreciation, but you are seeing a lot of properties. Okay, now for housing demand. Actually, with the weather and such, housing demand dipped a little bit. In the last 2 weeks, properties have sold, the property demand has dropped by 2%, by 76 homes to a level of 3,282 properties that are currently in escrow. Stephen feels that this may be kind of a blip in the screen here because of the weather was going on that may have hindered things a bit for properties going into escrow. Finally, he touches on the current active listings. With the slight dip in demand, listings have increased. For the first time in quite a few months, we are over 11,000 properties currently in escrow to a level of 11,028 properties. Once again, Stephen's report covers Orange County and the sales in Orange County. What I want to jump into now are the state numbers, California state numbers for the month of March for foreclosures. I get my information from Foreclosure Radar. They're probably one of the best organizations online to get that information. Sean O'Toole is the CEO and president of the organization, but let's see what Sean says. I'll bring that report up on the screen as well, so you can print that and look that over. You may want to pause this video, print that report, and let's go along with it. We're going to cover quite a few charts and graphs. But the month of March did see a fairly substantial and dramatic increase in the number of foreclosures. Now, part of that is that it's a longer month, has more days than February. February is a short month, so some of these numbers are increasing because of that. But California as a whole rose 35% overall. Hey, let's see what Sean says overall for the deal. It says, between government intervention, internal issues within the banks, even simple deviations like the number of days, as I mentioned, in the month, it is easy to come to the wrong conclusions about foreclosure activity. Sean goes on to say, the one thing that remains clear is that while the process has slowed, there remains no consensus on a viable solution other than foreclosures to eliminate the excess mortgage debt that has left millions underwater and continues to hinder the broader economy. I agree wholeheartedly with Sean on this, is that foreclosure has been for the long time the best source All these government programs, all these interventions has merely caused delays and more pain for you, the realtors, your buyers, the sellers, and everyone. Okay, let's jump into the charts for the month of March so we can take a look at all the different aspects of the foreclosure markets in California. First is the chart for the notice of defaults. As you can see, it has been dipping down, but this last month, it's up to 26,615 properties in the month of March, and that is up 17.34%. You can see it kind of jump up there in the last part of the chart there. Next is the notice of trustee sales. That dipped ever so slightly and has been continuing downward the last few months by 3.4% at 23,508 properties on this particular chart. Next, we have the next step would be the REOs. Once they sell on the steps of the courthouse, one thing happens or another. Once it goes to the sale, it either goes back to the bank. In this case, this would be back to the bank, which spiked up this last month by 28.6%, and that is up to a level of 13,672. But if it doesn't sell to the bank, then you would have the properties that sell to a third party, an investor in most cases. And this is up 61.46% from last month at a level of 4,214. Quite a dramatic increase. A lot of folks looking for bargains there on the steps of the courthouse. But if they don't sell on the steps, they may get canceled. And a lot of these cancellations have come from some of the loan modification programs that have actually stuck. And the cancellations are up about 29.9% to 14,548 properties. You can see it's trended down a lot. And then finally we have a little spike up. Once again, part of that is due to the number of days of the month. Next, we have the bigger picture numbers. We've got the overall broad market numbers that are currently out there. The properties that are currently in a pre-foreclosure state that's dragged out over months is about 110,000 properties. You can see that over on the far side. It's been a slow trend downward. The inventory is trending downward, and that was down about 5.8%. Next, we have the little bit larger group here, the properties that are currently scheduled for sale. They've named the date, but sometimes there's been delays, but the current date is still out there, still scheduled for sale. And that is 119,000 properties in the state of California, and that is down from the previous month about 7.95%. And finally, we have the overall inventory. Overall inventory that the banks are currently holding. They've taken those properties back. They haven't sold them yet, and that is about 113,000 properties in the state of California, and that is up about 1.60%. These last few charts, they're more of an averaging. It's an ongoing deal, so you don't see the big dramatic ups and downs, but hopefully these charts are helpful and handy for you to bring you the information on what's going on in the foreclosure market so you can help your sellers to know what they need to do to sell those homes and help your buyers as well. Hey, we're heading in to Easter weekend, the Holy Weekend, and I hope you're going to be able to spend some time with your family, friends, loved ones. It is a very important time. But hey, if you're out there working, I will have my phone with me. I will be working as well. Always love to hear from you. Please remember to send your buyers over to my online application. That works fantastically well, even in this changing market, to get your buyers approved as quickly as possible. Once again, I'm with Munzing Mortgage Group, my own firm. I feel like one of the very few out here who've been able to do that. But since I've always shot straight, I never did the subprime loans. I've always done really, really straightforward loans for your clients and really tried to help them as best I could. So let's work together. Let's get those buyers over to me. Let's get them approved and really get this year continuing on at a great pace. So call me anytime, 949-689-5626. Love to work with you. Love to work with your buyers. God bless you. God bless your families. God bless America. It's still the greatest place on earth to live. Let's keep it that way. Bye-bye.
This is the house we used to live in. This is the house we